Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US indices for the 20th of May. Just looking at the bigger picture here on the weekly chart. This is one way to look at the markets, and we would be looking at the expanded flat down here as wave 3, an A and a B and a C for wave 4, and then wave 1 and 2 here, and then going up for 3, then 4, then 5. Okay, of the 5th, and then that would be from 4 to 5 up through here. So let's move in and have a little look at this top here, because normally when I'd be looking at the top here at the 4,000, I would be looking for a classic trading levels pattern sitting there. So the arrival, the reaction, first high above the level. And it's kind of where we are now, and I'm thinking about this pulling down and then moving back on. So yeah, so in that instance we're above the level here, so that would be the first high above the level. So I'm just trying to figure out this top here, and it hasn't been that easy because of the structure, which we'll go in and have a look at now. So just going from the weekly chart to the daily chart here, just another way to break this down here too. I know it's counted a bit differently here, but my problem really is that is this little top area here. So what I don't fully understand, and what we need to get some strategies and tactics for, is this wave 3 top in place here and we pull down into this space, or do we have one more move up here and then we come down? That's what I'm trying to figure out with this. So yes, this top here hasn't really performed very well. It's quite easy to see 1 and 2 here, and then we can count the third wave up, and we can count the third wave up in to these different highs in different ways. So it makes it a little bit tricky in that instance. So we're going to need a strategy to go higher, and we're going to need a strategy to go lower. We need to understand both sides of this in this instance. So based on that, just drilling into the intraday chart here. As I mentioned, there's a few different ways to count this up here. So from this wave 4 here, we can count 1 and 2. Now that's pretty simple at that point. And then it just gets a bit tricky around this top, how one counts it. I was also looking at this particular count here, which is a little bit weird. But the end count here finishes off in nicely with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 in here. And I can see that on the tick chart. So that's okay like that. This move down through here is in 3 waves. This move up here is in 3 waves. This move down here is in 3 waves. And this move up here is in 3 waves. So it's possible, and then this move down through here is in 3 waves. Now, I know that this one here has made a little top just here, but on the cash market, that's not the case. On the cash market, this top is actually lower. So just be careful how you count that up here. But even if that was the top there, it's very difficult to push 5 waves up into that particular point there. So it's a little bit, and I've pulled it apart on a 100 tick chart and a 20 tick chart, so we'll go in and have a bit of a look at that. But on the cash market, this low here, well, on the cash market, it's very clear that this is 3 waves to the upside. You can see it here. This is the cash market here for this. So just in a nutshell, we've got 3 waves here. We've got 3 waves here. We've got 3 waves down here for this. We've got 3 waves up here, and you can see how that high is this high here is lower than this high. So on the futures market, it's just like 1 tick above. So this move down through here. So on the cash market, it's also, well, we can look at that in 3 waves coming down here. So that's in 3 waves. Now, yes, it could be the 1, 2, 3 going up for 4 here and then going back down at that point, but it's moved a little bit high for a 4th wave. But yes, it would like to cover that gap. We've still got a gap on the cash market over here as well for this. It's probably more important on the futures market, the gaps. because there's a buyer for every seller, so to speak. Yeah, so look, a lot of this is in 3 waves here. So I'm thinking, well, you know, 3 waves are corrective. So, you know, perhaps we're still in that corrective wave. And the best way I could count it was having this top here as an A wave here, a B wave here, a C, D, and E here for wave 4, and then pushing up for wave 5 of 3 up here for this. So I think what we could do is that from that high to that low here, this is the 50-60% retracement level in here. So if the market traded above that and got onto the 41.50, well, then there would be a good sign that it's bullish at that point. If it struggled here and failed at that point, then that little top that we've got in here, because I can count 5 waves from that top down to the bottom down here, then if it failed here and then made a new low below here, then that 5 waves coming down here would be valid from that top at that particular point. So it really is coming to a bit of a balance point, really. So 41.50 and we're long, but we could refine that further in here as well. So don't worry about that. It's just the bigger picture here. And yeah, and back below here somewhere would be bearish. And if it's bearish, well, then we've got to consider this top here, the 5th of the 5th of the 3rd here being in play, and we'll be looking for a move back below the level here as a wave 4 coming from here down to here in that regard. So we've got a little bit of work to do with all of this. So you know, folks have offered me different counts, and thank you for that. And I find that it still doesn't leave us any sort of better off with my counts or other counts. It's just not clear. And I find with Elliott Wave is that if it's clear, fine, go in and take the trade. But if it's not clear, then we just need to monitor it for a little while and find a safer setup. And sometimes you got to put on your analyst hat, and sometimes you got to put on your trader's hat. And putting on your trader's hat means that, well, if you have made money before, you know the types of setups that you are familiar with and that you recognize, and that's what you have to go with at the end of the day. So for me in this instance here, this is the 61.8%, so just naturally above that on the 41.50, then that would be a move to the upside. So let's just go into, I don't think the 100 ticks does me any sort of justice at this particular point, so I think I'm just going to go to the 20 ticks and just explain a few little things or bring in some extra data here. So it's pretty clear to see that from this top here, we've got 3 waves here. So that's not a problem, is it? And then this move here is also in 3 waves. We can count 5 waves up there. So I did that on the 100 tick chart. So this is 3, that's 3. And then when I count this down, coming down through here, I count it as 1 and 2. And 3 and 4 and 5 here for the A wave, the B wave, and also 5 waves down here for this. So it's not 5 waves down here, it's 3 waves down. And then when it comes over here, we just seen, you know, we can count this as an A and a B and a C. Now, as I mentioned, this is like one little point higher than just over here. Not by much, it's just very, but on the cash market that I've just shown you, it's a lot lower at this top here. So just, you know, it's just a hair pin higher than this one here. So, but the point is also too, the thing that I'm putting the C wave over here for is because when we look into this rally here, if that was going to be a new high here, that would need to be in 5 waves there. So let's just have a look. I don't see 5 waves. I see, if I just stay with me for a second, we've got this little move up here, which should be wave 1 and 2 here, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the little 3rd wave, 4th wave, and then the 5th wave up here. So we've got 5 waves to here. Now this is a little bit rough in through here, but the 3rd wave's in the middle here, so we've got We've got wave 1 here, ABC for 2 here, and then we need to take this up to 3 and 4 and 5 here. So, you know, it's difficult to get 5 waves out of that. So it counts better as 3 waves. And then I won't bore you to death with all of this, but it takes you down to 5 waves at this point. And because that's a top there, I still need to respect it as a top. And we've got 5 waves down here. This is the 50-60% retracement area through here. So if it's going to be, this was 41.50 that I talked about, but the 61.8% is down here and the 50% here. So that would bring us in on top of group 1 here. So let's just put that in close enough there. So we've got basically 10, 20 and 30 there. So what we can do, because that's the midpoint here, so we've got 4100, which is a minor level. So we'll just make that a little bit bigger. So 40, 41, and the next minor level up is 40, 42, and then there are all the sub-levels in between that, which is just really, we use the Fibonacci numbers as, well, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8. But when we talk about 8, we can also talk about 72 just below that. So if that goes on to 80, that would be 4180. So 4172 and 4165. So you put those levels in. It'll make life a little bit easier, because support on 4165, then you know that that the market's going to climb higher at that point. So yeah, Fibonacci numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8. It's all pretty simple. So I normally find that if I get support on top of group 1, then that's going to take me to 50. And if we get support on the 30, like a tested support with a classic trading levels pattern. So it's not always a pretty picture, but it could be like this. May not drop below the level, or you can even get something like this here where it doesn't stop at the level and just goes straight up and then goes down. But you'll always find in one way or another that there'll be some type of correction there, and that's what you use. It's the same as the 41 here. If I put that on the right thing there a bit closer, it's a little bit ugly here. But if you're patient and you get here, if you trade up to here and you get here, then your job really is just to wait to see if it becomes the support. And it has vibrated around there quite a lot. But if you're patient and allow the pattern to mature, you'll eventually pick it up. You know, so even this little shoot here is, you know, a shot up here, but you still need that first high. Then you've got your ABC pattern here. So you can go long into this base here. So you don't need to go chasing it. But yeah, anyway. So we're getting a bit of an impulse wave up here with a correction, and we've got, this is an impulse wave. So this is going to be an impulse wave. So it's not going to end up with just 3 waves here. There's going to be 5 waves here. So this is likely to push up further in there. So that will give us another 1, 2. That's probably not finished, this little one here, by the way. But anyway, it's going to take us up into that 41.30. So all you need to do is just be a little bit patient and look for the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, some type of correction there. It may not be a beautiful picture, but then you've got this to move on to at this point here. Because if it's going to fail, then this is where it's going to fail from, isn't it? It's going to move down here. And normally what I find is that once it's traded up here somewhere, and if it comes back down and you find the number 2 here, the center of group 1, the number 2 here as the retested resistance here, so it can come down to 41.15, because 5 is the second strongest number, because between 10 and 20 there's also 1, 2, 3, 5 and 8 in here. So it's some micro levels in there. So you can use those just the same. So normally it doesn't always come down, but if it does come down, it will come down to 15, because 5 is the second strongest number. But main point is, whatever it comes down to, it could come down to 8 or whatever. But if it retests it and then drops again, then you know that that number there is the resistance. And that means that this whole top has been rejected, and the market will be pulled down to the closest largest number at that point. and then you'll have to wait for this to become the resistance. But that can create a short trade, and then another short trade under this point here as well, and then that will take you down much further at that point, and then you got your other levels here as well for that. So yeah, it's a bit of a game of support and resistance on 30. And once it trades up here, if it comes back and finds the 41.20 as the resistance, then you know that we'll be going down further at that point. So all of what I've talked about really pivots in this little section here. So if we go back to the 4-hour chart, say, that's, I think that was giving us a bit of... So just coming back here and recapping, my problem is that this whole top here has got me confused a little bit, which doesn't take much. But I don't know if this is the top here. I mean, I can have this green wave 4 actually sitting right there as well, which we had before in a triangle pattern, and then have using these 5 little waves. But I just find that a little bit small. But either way, problem is that do we have wave 3 here with an A, B, C, D, E here for this? And then moving up from that point. And if that's going to be the case, you know that you can go on 41.30 as a support, as a classic trading levels pattern. You can start to build into that. So one position on the 41.30, and then building on top of the 41.50, and then building on top of the 4200 at that point. And then you can continue to build at that point. If this moves up to the 41.30, the 61.8% mark, and then starts to move down, as it moves down, the 41.20 as a retested resistance is the first inkling that you're going to understand that the market's going to come lower at that point. So, yeah, all of these patterns in this little section from here down to here, I can count them all in 3 waves each. So to me, it is corrective. So I've labeled it as an A and a B and a C and a D and an E here. And I know, folk, you could throw things at me for that, but I just really don't know how else to sort of count it. So I'll leave it at that for the time being, and let's have a look at the next one. So the NASDAQ here, there's a couple of ways I can also look at this as well, but one of the important things here is that from this top here, we can count 5 waves down through here. We'll look at that on the intraday chart in a moment. So it's possible that this can also come down further as well here. Now, I did look at this as possibly being having this as an A wave here, and then an A, B, C for the B wave here, and down for the C wave here. It's possible, but just wasn't really getting the extension that I wanted to in this, to have this as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave over here for this. So, yeah, let's just go to the intraday where we were looking at it yesterday, 4-hour chart here for this, and we know that the big tech stocks a lot of them are quite sort of bearish, but my main point here was that from the top here we could count down 1 and 2 here, and wave 3 to here, wave 4 to here, and wave 5 to here. So in this case here, this one here is a little bit lower than this one here as well. So we could look at this as an A wave up here with an A and a B and a C wave here, and then have 5 waves up. And this is what we'll also need to be a little bit mindful of with the S&P as well. So when we'll pick this up tomorrow, but if this is correct and we move up here in 5 waves, we'll have to be really important. We'll have to be really focused on those 5 waves, because they could bring us back down after that. Right. So if you're trading long up here, make sure that you lock in, you lock things in up here. We would have to get a really nice solid tested support on the 13,500, and it is really all about the 500 here, and 5 being the second strongest number. It carries a fair bit of weight, obviously. So we'd be looking at this, you know, playing out onto the downside here for this at minimum as an A and a B and a C wave here, which kind of brings us back into that. If I go to the, well, yeah, having this wave 3 in place up here, having this wave 3 in place on the S&P here, and having this other leg down for wave 4 here. So that sort of concerns me a little bit, but I just don't have 5 waves coming down through here, so that sort of bothers me as well. It's hard to have 3 waves here and expect the market to come down to this point. So yeah, these are the things that are sort of haunting me a little bit. So don't really have any sort of answers on those, but let's have a look at, well, just before we have a look at stock, we've just been looking at the Russell back in the game a little bit here. So with the Russell here, I've got it as a triangle pattern, as you may know, because I think it suits it quite well. I've got, you know, this can be counted as corrective. This move up here is in 3 waves. This is in 3 waves. This one here is, you know, pretty ugly, but it's not 5 waves, put it that way. And then it appears that we've got 3 waves here. So if that's the case, then we'd be able to look at the Russell as wave 1 here and 2 here and 3, 4, and 5 here to top out. So if you see any strength in this, taking these tops out here or a little bit higher here, that's 2200, nice tested support on 2200 would be a go. And then also just make it small. And then also you could look to add on 2230, because that 30 would be the top of group 1, and if you found support on top of the 2230, then that will take you up to the next level, to the 23 there, or you'd have the 5 there. So between 200 and 300 you've got 10, 20, and 30, 1, 2, and 3, and then 5, 50, and 80. So you've got the levels between there, but I won't go in there with all of that. Let's have a quick look at stock. I won't spend too long on stock because I've already got this video at 20 minutes. As you know, with Tesla, we're tracking 5 waves down through here, from the top here. There's an A and a B wave and a C wave here that should take us under the 500. That point we are short below the 650, the medium level. You may have a trade above that. You can look to get down to the 500. The market will be wanting to pull down there. There is this other previous low of wave A over here, so we'll get a bounce off that. So that's around the 540 area, so just be mindful of that. I'm going to go into the tick chart, but in a nutshell, we've got wave 1 and 2 in play. We're still in the 3rd wave here. We'll still need the 4th wave, and we'll still need the 5th wave to play out. So we could end up a little bit further down than I assumed that we're going to, but we'll get a bounce off that 500 before we go lower. So that's really our target in that regard. And just going into the 100 ticks. So from our B wave up here, we're looking for 5 waves of 1 and 2, and then all the way down for 3, 4, and 5 for this to complete down here. So we're a fair way down with all of this. It's a shame Elon's tweets can't save Tesla. Perhaps he shouldn't have picked on Bitcoin with the with burning the coal or whatever it was. I mean, his rockets use enough fossil fuels as well, so can't point the finger too quick. But I suppose he's right. We've got to get energy costs down as well. So wave 2 coming down to blue wave 3 here. Then we've got wave 1 here in green and 2 in green. We're going down for 3 in green and 4 in green here and 5 in green to make 3. So yeah, this is a bit of a tricky one here, but from wave 2 here we've got wave 1 and 2, nice strong 3rd wave here. And then the 4th wave here. And then it's a little bit tricky to see in here. I should have these labeled, but there's 5 waves in this little move here for 1 and 2 and 3 here. And this, I'm looking at this as all as an A and a B and a C for wave 4, and then down for wave 5 here. So I'm still looking for, even that is not settled very well here, because I could count that as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, perhaps in the third wave. So all that would be third. So I'm thinking there should be one more little push to come down here before we get this ABC pattern here for wave 4, a bit of a rally that can pull back to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree, which is over here. So you'll need to float through that. Yeah, there's plenty of resistance here now, so it may not come all the way back up to that point. Yeah, it should be pulled down to the 500. That's where it is. That's where it is at this point. So probably won't come back that high. It'll probably test this supply zone here and then move down from that point. But then once it gets to the 500, there is going to be buyers there, so there will be a bounce. And that will take us up into wave 4 before that tiring out and getting hammered again and being pushed down again. And that could take us down. It probably could take us down into 400, but we'll just count the waves as we go. Yeah, so that one's going okay. So with Facebook here, as you may know, we're looking from this low here. We've been looking for an A wave to the upside, a B wave here, and then a C wave here, and then rolling over at that point. So let's just go in and take a look at that on the tick chart. So one of the things here is that we need to talk about the trade first. So with the trade, we had a trade in here, and we took some profit at this high here. You may have taken some at this high, but we didn't quite reach that target for that one. And then we had the stop just below the 61.8%, but it came down and got us, which is a shame. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. But we should have come out of that at least break even, or with a little bit of pocket money. Now this move here, even though it's dropped below my target area, I still need to treat that like that, and we're still looking for a move up. And sometimes we can just really consider the because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, because it's 5 waves, it means we're going to get another 5 waves. So I'm sorry I couldn't get you in on top of there in that regard there in time. But it does look like this here is actually 5 waves up here. So we've got wave 1 and 2 here, and this is probably, let me just see, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Yeah, so that's 5 waves from the low to there. So this will be the ABC pattern here. So that will go up further from that point. So you could look to go long there in the next session. 13's a nice number to work with. So what we could do, because from 10 to 20 there, because it'd be 1, 2, 3, 5, and so on. But between 10 and 20, we've got the sub-levels there. So we've got 1, 2, and 3 here. So that's what I'm thinking. So the 13 there, 13, where are we there? Oops, a daisy. 13 there. So getting a tested support on 13, which, because number 3 is the top of group 1. So 3, 11, 12, and 13, and then you would have 15 at that point. So if you're going to add, you could pick up a small bit on 13, then add on 15. There'll be profit taking at coming into group 2 here, which is 18, but there'll also be 72 in there, so 17, 20, and 65 as well there. So 1650, that's where that starts. So we can put in group 2 there if you like. I'll let you do that. Won't worry too much about it. I haven't got much time. But anyway, that should push higher if you wanted to move in on there. Square, as I mentioned before, I wasn't really going to worry about Square just yet because I still wanted to see it dance around here, and we've been watching it do that, so there's no real there's nothing to do here just yet, basically, with this. So from B here down to C, we're looking for 5 waves. 1 and 2 are obvious here. So we still need to see a bit more come into play here. So, you know, I like it when a market comes below the level, because once it's below the level, if you're going to go long, well, then to me, the market's got to prove to you that it is strong. And in this case, it would need to get up onto the 200 and sit up there as a tested support, and then we can start to build in on that side. So that's what we're waiting for. We don't want to get in too early in that instance. Okay, with Apple here, it's carrying on from yesterday. So yesterday we were looking for a little A, B, and C wave up here for that. So we've got the A wave, the B wave here by the looks of it. So we'll be looking for that little push in the C wave here. So we're also starting to see, looking at these stocks here, we're starting to see that while stocks can rally, so that would take the S&P and the NASDAQ higher in that in the next session as well. So let's just go to the tick chart. Okay, so this is the low here I was looking at, because I've got an impulse wave to the downside. And we noted that the market's bearish because we can count 1, 2, and 3 here. So 3 waves, only 3 waves here. So an A and a B and a C wave here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're looking for an ABC here. This has also dropped lower as well. So must have been some news there or something or other across the broad market to see these little drops push, you know, extend them down. And it happened in Bitcoin in a big way as well, but that's recovering. So I'm still just going to stay with this little wave C here of B here. Yeah, so technically we should be pushing up higher. It doesn't really look like a nice impulse wave, but I'll give it a bit of space. The 125 here is the balance line right through here. So if you were going to go long and, you know, do a bit of a day trade up to the 130 area, then you need that 125 as the support there, of course. So just look for a classic trading levels pattern. So you got the arrival and the reaction. So what you'd be looking for next is the first high above the level, and then a bit of an ABC pattern here. First high, second high, you know the routine. So that's Apple. So with Alphabet here, I mean, it's logical just to count this up as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to this point here, but I was just a little wave short here, as you may know. So I'm looking for another move to the upside for this as well. I don't really have enough evidence just yet for that. Let's go to the tick chart here, and it's a little bit, the wave count's a little bit weird, but aren't we all? So yeah, I just didn't get my 5 waves up here. So I'm always thinking, is this an A wave down here, B wave up here, and the C wave down here to the 38.2? And then pushing up. So we were looking for just to wait and see, and we seem to have got that little impulse wave up there, and then we were looking for a move back to this little box here yesterday. Also this gap down here as well, but recovering. So it looks yeah, it's looking sort of okay really. So I'm thinking that we're on track here. So you could also look to go long here because we got 5 here. Let me just before I run off here, let's pull those wild horses back in. So this is where, if I'm wrong, this is where it can fail from, right here. So first of all, it can move to here and then it can fail from that point. But what we'll also look for is for another move up at that point. So we'd need to see a corrective pattern at that point. And we'd want to see this move here, if it's going to be bullish, this move up here, we'd want to see it longer than this here, because we'd have to call that wave 1. But we just got to be a little bit careful at this point. So, yeah, we haven't put a trade on here just yet. So I'll just be a little bit careful because all this is a little bit messy, but yeah, certainly can fail from that point. But yeah, I won't call the trade in on that just yet. And Amazon. So with Amazon here, we're looking at a top being in play, and we're looking for the move down here. Then we're looking for an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave moving up a little bit higher through here. And let's go and have a look at that on the 100 ticks. And I think we're also looking at it on the 20 ticks as well. So so it's possible, you know, that we've got, because on the 20 tick chart we counted 5 waves up here. So then we're looking for an A and a B and a C to come back, and then we're looking for another 5 waves to the upside. So we've got that. But what I'm a little bit unsure about, we haven't reached our target. So I'm wondering, copying this, and it's also dropped as well. So I'm just wondering if this is not, you know, not completed at this point. Corrections are a little bit tricky, so we just need to take a little bit more time and a bit more care in all of this. We were long here, and we've taken some profit here, and I think that was on the 20 tick, so we better go in there and manage that a little bit better. So yeah, I've got it labeled a little bit differently here, but let's just actually, I don't really need to worry about that just yet. Let's just do some work. So first of all, we were long here. We've taken some profit here. I don't think that's stopped out just yet. So let's just start working this stop now. This one can go. We'll just leave that there for the time being. We'll lift it up in the next session. But yeah, so it is an ABC here, so it can be completed here. But do we get a B wave here for this? So let's just check on this. This looks like 5 waves dropping down here, doesn't it? So that would be 1 and 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, fourth wave, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So it appears that we've got 5 waves here. So it is possible for this to move to here and then fade from that point. So we'll just need to be very careful about that. In fact, we're just going to play a much tighter game with this particular stop as well. Well, that's good, isn't it? Move that. Put that in there. Drop that back down there. Not that we really need that now, I don't think. So yeah, this is a little bit haunting, having this 5 waves here. So it's probably going to move down here. So you need to, this will be the last place to take profit. So I suggest take profit at that point. You could probably, it's a bit dodgy this one, but 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for that. No, that doesn't count very well either. I'm not quite sure about that. But yeah, just look to, if you're still in this trade, either take profit or use a trailing stop. You may get lucky, and we may end up going up to this, you know, 50, 60% retracement level here for that. I'm not quite sure. But we do have 3 waves here, which I have labeled on the other one with wave A here for that. I'll just label them the same so we're on the same page. And that's about it for today, guys. So just in recapping a little bit, you know, that it does appear that these stocks want to rally. So that means that the S&P 500 and so on will also be in the same boat as well, wanting to rally. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Thanks. Cheers.